Hello and welcome back to the Conclave University here in Silvery Moon. My pseudonym is Red No Blue and I'll be your lecturer today as we walk down a different path to what was maybe previously advised. However, you might be interested to know that I have a schedule set up below and you will be able to organize your tutorials around the new set classes and what we will definitely be studying in the future. But for now, we're going to take a break from the pure theory of Faerun magic and delve into other aspects of the arcane. It's important to see what things are possible, perhaps not in this world, but in others. Welcome to the first lecture of hopefully many, as we discuss what others consider to be arcane, what constitutes a mage, what the source of magic might be in other planes of existence. Welcome to episode 1 of PlaneShift. In the beginning of a multiverse far from ours, there was light, shining and flowing, the power of creation in an endless sea of energy that lay without reality. It is the source and reason for life in this cosmos, all life, good and evil, and is itself not a plane with moral alignment like some have in our own multiverse. It is a primeval and primal force whose morality is defined by those that wield it. However, those that use it are often said to be buoyed by positive emotions such as hope, courage, or joy. The light encourages choosing a single path as truth and leaving behind all other possibilities as lies. In the beginning of a multiverse far from ours, there was void, spreading and ebbing, the power of creation in an endless sea of energy that lay without reality, beyond the planar barrier of a material realm. It is the source and reason for change in this cosmos, all change, good and evil, and is itself not a plane with moral alignment like some have in our multiverse. It is a primeval and primal force whose morality is defined by those that wield it. However, those that use it are often said to pay a price, as its use leaves negative emotions such as despair, doubt, and panic. The void encourages looking at every possible path, and seeing them all as equally true. The light preceded the void for an unknown length of time, as time must be recorded by something for it to be considered worthwhile. But what is known is that the void soon grew and contested against the light, feeding on the energies of the light, which in turn burned away the shadow of the void. That tension, ongoing and constant, ignited, and explosions that can't be described as anything less than cataclysmic, tore apart this primeval realm and created a new set of parallel planes, the material plane, called by them who live in it as the Great Dark Beyond, and the Twisting Nether. The Twisting Nether is the astral plane between worlds, described as the line between the ebb of light and the flow of void. The Twisting Nether is an ethereal dimension of chaotic magics that connects the myriad worlds of the universe. There are 1,000 ways to perceive the Twisting Nether. Each voyager sees it differently, depending on circumstance, form, and state of mind. One may see it as a black, airless void in which 1 billion stars twinkle, and behind and beneath him blaze the world from which he had come. Another may perceive it as a chaotic realm where the universes sparked by the light and shadow bleed together, a place of pitch-black skies, twisting and filled with strange, conflicting powers. Countless worlds appear on the edge, seemingly close enough to touch and yet unimaginably far away. Worlds that might be nearly dots of light could be seen as looming immediately overhead, and time passes differently, as a week within the Twisting Nether might be centuries outside in the material plane, or vice versa. Light and void collide and bleed together at the edges of this realm, throwing it into turmoil. Their energies would give birth to the very first demons. The Twisting Nether is the only place where demons can truly die. Although the Twisting Nether existed beyond the borders of the physical universe, its volatile energies would occasionally tear through the veil, flooding into reality, warping creation. Entering the Twisting Nether brings one to a realm of pure, lunatic thought. Most of the twisting nether is purely transmutable, never appearing the same for more than a few seconds. Colours change, it grows dark and light from moment to moment. Sparkles and strange sounds emit and then vanish. Within, a traveller can find themselves standing upon the precipice, overlooking the countless cruel stars around them, and within minutes find themselves within vast crystalline geodes. Moments later standing on a tiny floating rock, while buffeted by streaming winds of pure energy. The Nether is ever-changing and composed of extreme magical energies that are stronger than the combined forces of the ley lines of the natural world. Some mages speculate that the twisting Nether is the true source of all arcane magic. The Great Beyond is their physical universe composed of stars and worlds, moons and nebula, and the countless mortal civilizations. It is infinite and unstable, with the bleed of the light and void that surrounds it. The physical universe is governed by the forces of order and disorder, while the forces of life and death hold sway over every living thing in it. Pure light and shadow dwell in a realm outside of the borders of reality, but shades of their presence can be found in the Great Dark. The elements served as the basic building blocks of all matter in the physical universe. Although the twisting nether existed outside of the borders of the physical universe, its volatile energies would occasionally tear through the veil of the Great Dark, flooding into reality and warping creation. It is this bleed, this gout and instability, that allows some mortals of the multiverse to manipulate reality using the weaving of light and void and nether into magical effects. Mana is a replenishable force that can be split into the subsequent energies that mages use to cast their spells. Mana is found throughout the material plane, with various sources and energies forming powerful vortices of mana, which in turn are spread by ley lines. In Faerun terms, it would be like the natural sunlight, tidal forces, kinetic motions of wind and water and earth, all of which power and recharge the weave. Mana can be infused into liquids by alchemists who create mana potions. Mages can store mana in gems for an instant reuse later, and the food and drink that they create is also saturated with mana. Because mages of this multiverse have a wellspring within them, much like sorcerers, but one that can empty over time, they could cast the same fireball spell over and over, it actually run out of mana, then drink a potion or activate their mana gem or eat a conjured piece of chocolate brownie, no, I'm not kidding, and then be able to cast the same spell again. They can also channel the arcane energies directly through them in an ability they call evocation, which refills their wellspring near completely. There is a set of rules that governs the destiny of every person that chooses to continue down the path of a mage. These rules are: magic is powerful, magic is corrupting, magic is addicting, magic draws the denizens of the twisting nether to those who wield the arcane. Masters of the arcane are diviners of secrets, balancing the ebb and flow of incredible mystic energies. Unparalleled skill is required to manipulate the volatile forces of the universe. Those who master this craft are capable of releasing a barrage of unrelenting power upon their enemies, drawing upon replenishing energies to maintain their assault for as long as the battle demands. Some history records state that their spells are Vancian in forms and function, relying on the same energy levels that we have to contend with as we explore dungeons and slay dragons. But many of those historical records are filled with the bias of the observing mages, and such records are actually considered non-canon, inasmuch as anything about another reality could be considered non-canon. Instead, it seems the mages can manipulate the latent energies of the world into set spells that they learn over time, but that their continued mastery of channeling arcane energy through allows them to channel greater and greater amounts. Mages know how to first cast what they call Fireball, but what we would know as Firebolt. Over time, this attack gains incremental levels of power, much like we would have with the cantrip, but their Fireball has no upper limit, and can conceivably increase to near limitless levels of magic. Mages create spells and effects that are traditionally defined into three categories: Fire, Frost, and Arcane. Fire magic is the manipulation of flame, oddly enough, Though that manipulation isn't just throwing gouts of it at people. The Fire Mage can send rays, bolts, lines, and bursts that linger. They can wrap themselves in it to attack those in melee, or use the intent of it to speed their movement. They can cauterize their own wounds to provide a burst of healing, or summon an even more powerful fireball that they call a pyroblast. They also gain power, which all mages call mana, from the energy created by the burning of enemies and the surrounding environment. The Frost Mage focuses instead on the removal of energy from their foes and from the environment. They can throw bolts of cold just as we can, again with the incremental increases of power. Like Ray of Frost, an enemy's movement can be slowed, but they can also wrap themselves in cold and ice that does not hamper them nor chill them, but allows for protection. Icicles can hover around them as the magical overbleed can also be weaponized. The cold energies that burst around them and restrain their enemies, and they can force and shape elemental energies into semi-sentient water elementals that in turn can throw their own frostbolts. Truly, their mastery of magic for the use of Warcraft is astonishing. More so than most of us here at the Conclave, they have come up with a wide variety of ways to burn, sear, ash, freeze, numb, and shatter their enemies. A lot of their spells seem to mimic what our utility spells can do, but aren't broken up into different schools such as transmutation or necromancy. Instead, they have Arcane. Arcane magic is different to arcane energy, I think, but the Arcane school of magic is where the most utility of the mage class comes from. Arcane spells can damage much like fire or frost, and they have their own version of the magic missile spell that almost always hits, although their version hits 1 bolt per second as the mage channels the spell over the course of around 6 seconds or so. And they have a blast that is composed of pure energy called Arcane Blast that ramps in power if cast in quick succession. It should be noted that the arcane magic that probably originates in the Twisting Nether is innately volatile and dangerous to use. A mage will prematurely age with constant use. But arcane magic is the manipulation of order, and much can be done in utility. In general, arcane magic can be used to do nearly everything, as it can be used to manipulate both space and time. It can be used to create objects such as food or drinks from nothing. Arcane can be used to turn oneself invisible, to become inaudible, to create multiple images of oneself, or to polymorph objects and people into something else entirely, as well as to communicate from afar. It can be used to animate constructs and objects such as arcane golems or brooms, to power machinery, to rewind time, access alternate timelines, see the future or the past, to scry, conjure illusions, or simply to cause massive destruction. And that's all we'll say on this PlaneShift lecture. If people want to discuss this alternate world further, then by all means leave a comment below to tell me, and we can talk about mana forges, disenchanting, mana bombs, the well of eternity, magical addiction, and the alluring and devastating power of Fel. Until next time, to be continued.